Okay. Today's lesson is kind of a continuation of lesson 11, where we're looking at order of operations. Here's an example where we've got some parentheses, we're doing some multiplying, we're doing some addition, and we're doing some subtraction. To start off with, it's helpful to think in terms of what we really have here is this quantity minus this quantity. So this whole thing here minus this here. But in order to do that, we first have to figure out what 4 times the quantity 3 times 2 is. We're going to be multiplying that. And over here, in order to find out what this is, so we can subtract it, we first have to find out what 5 times 6 minus 3 is. And in order to find out what this is, so that we can do the subtraction, we first have to find out what this plus this is, 3 plus 2. And then over here, we have to find out what 6 minus 3 is. So sometimes in math, people will say you're working from your innermost to outermost parentheses, and that's really what we're doing here. We're going to start in the insides here, the innermost parentheses, and work our way out. We might think of this as one giant parentheses. So let's get started, and I always encourage you to rewrite your problem instead of trying to do all the math at once. So we've got 4 times the quantity 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. When I say rewrite it, I might be tempted to say, oh, this is 20, and I just put 20 down because I know I feel pretty confident I can do that in my head. But that's how we sometimes make careless mistakes. So to avoid that, we just rewrite, even though it takes a little more time. Minus 5 times 6 minus 3, which I know to be 3. And again, the temptation is to just say, well, that's 15 right away. But we'll get there. 4 times 5, since we have multiplication here, is done before addition. And then 5 times 3 is 15, so we have 20 minus 15 equals 5. So we worked from our innermost to outermost parentheses. Alright, here's another example. We've got what really is a fraction. We've got negative 3 times the quantity 4 minus 2 minus negative 5 over 4 minus 3 times 3. All we did here is basically we're going to do the numerator and the denominator separately. So I've written the numerator over here, and like our last problem, really what we have is this minus this. And in order to find that, we have to first find this negative 3 times 4 minus 2. So 4 minus 2 is really going to be the first thing that we do. It's kind of like working innermost to outermost parentheses. So the opposite of 3 times 4 minus 2 is 2. Minus the opposite of 5 is the same thing as plus 5. Negative, we've got multiplication here. That's done before addition. So we have negative 6 plus 5, and negative 6 plus 5 equals negative 1. So my numerator is going to be negative 1 over here. And then the denominator, I have written over here, 4 minus 3 times 3. Multiplication is done first. 4 minus 9 equals negative 5. And so that's my denominator. And I know that a fraction is a division problem. So negative 1 divided by negative 5, whenever we divide a negative by a negative, we get a positive. We've got 1/5.